Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim. With me, of course, are Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
Dragon 200!
Indeed, as Dr. Squee has alluded to there, this is our 200th episode, which we planned perfectly to coincide with the season opener of Season 2 of Strange New Worlds.
I mean, we've been planning it for 200 episodes. We had to talk to all the writers of all the different Star Trek shows just to line it up.
That was
work
it.
we put into this, people.
The real reason Discovery was cut by 3 episodes.
Yeah, we're going, no. Cut it back 3 episodes. You're not allowed to do it this year before Strange New Worlds. We planned this, all right? Can you do Discovery for your 200th episode? Shut up and go away now.
Oh, no, we'd have done... If it was a good episode
You're
of
really
Discovery...
struggling there, weren't you?
If it was a good episode, so something we haven't seen in a good series then.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad our 200th episode didn't fall during season 4 of Discovery. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell, yeah. That was a tough watch.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. If it hadn't been Star Trek and I hadn't been watching it for this show, I would have stopped watching that. It was painful watching it.
I wouldn't mind, but our next live panel is when Star Trek goes wrong, Discovery Season 4 edition.
Oh, no one had come to see that. We just stop halfway through and have a game of poker, because that's what they did in Discovery Season 4.
Sorry, go on.
No, we're trying to think what else happened in Discovery Season 4, and I'm coming up a blank, so go on.
No, I was just thinking it's like we're just ending it after 4 hours of us ranting about it. We're about to leave the stage. I run back to the mic. Oh, and another thing I didn't like about that series. It just never ends.
There were some good bits.
I honestly cannot like
It
Tilly's
was very
last
few and
episode.
hard behind.
Tilly's last episode was pretty decent.
Yeah. And Admiral Silver Daddy
That's
Bear
what it
was good.
And it wasn't even the best one. Admiral Silver Daddy Bear was criminally underused. Don't even get me started.
It was, and there wasn't even a whiff of Parrot Guy.
I mean, yeah, where did he go?
Season 3 standout.
The second best character to come out of season 3. I think you all know what my number 1 is.
But we're being self-congratulatory. So, yeah, we've come a long way as a podcast. We started off
from there to here.
Well, we started off filling in a 2-hour gap that you suddenly had in Sweet Fest.
No, let's make it clear.
Well, we weren't off to do an hour.
Yeah. We expanded to 2 hours, but
Yeah.
I didn't want anyone to think that Retrek was anything but a kind of highlight. I remember looking forward to that so much, just because I just met you guys at the Weekender. We'd had a top blast, and just to like.
Well, we did
I didn't have anyone who was particularly a Trek mate at the time I spoke to at the time. So you two were a gift.
Well, we just done we did a little panel, didn't we, at the weekend, because they needed something filling in.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, you were on that one. It was
the series.
It was, which Star Trek series is the best we'd done at the Weekender? And DS9 won.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that earlier. I didn't remember that one.
That.
Spindle's got us to do
Spindle's hosted it, yeah.
You were sat with you in the Weatherspoons as well when you asked us if we'd do it.
Well, I remember doing the
Marvel.
That's when we all sort of met
all about the new Trek shows, but I just didn't remember that one for some reason.
That was later, yeah. That was the next year.
When we were actually Retrek, because
that's how prolific we are as convention goers.
So were we pre-Trek then?
we were Retrek the second time, yeah. And we've covered a hell of a lot of Star Trek over 200 episodes, but we've still got quite a way to go. So don't worry,
I don't think we are
anywhere
yet.
I don't think we are.
Definitely not. I would bet I don't think we're even probably all the way through the equivalent of like one of the 7 series shows. So we might have got up to an original series run
I mean, we've done 200 episodes. Even if we'd done 2 episodes every show, which we haven't, that'd only be 400, which isn't even half the episodes of Star Trek. So,
how many episodes in the original series were there?
79.
79.
Oh yeah, so we've danced past that very easily.
Yeah. And with even TNG, the 179, DS9, something like 176, so it's Voyager. So we have done more episodes than any single Star Trek show has done.
Now that's a feat.
That is a feat. So let's talk about the latest episode of Star Trek then, which is The Broken Circle, the season opener of Strange New Worlds Season 2. And
also The Broken Circle, how we're celebrating Retrek 200. Hey!
And it makes an interesting choice, which is we're going to focus on Spock and the crew, but Captain Pike's barely going to be in it, which just seems interesting. I mean, I'll put it out there. I enjoyed this episode.
I enjoyed it, and I also want to put some out that when I was thinking about it, something that's really brave to do that they've not tackled at all in New Trek, to actually let us see newer crew members and not be focused on the captain. Like, I know that we've got legacy characters like M'Benga, who was in one or 2 episodes, TOS. Nurse Chapel and Uhura, who were regular characters, but it is a lot being said they were very underutilized in the original series due to the nature of writing. So it's nice to see these characters, more of them, and we're getting to know all our other characters and not just, and you're listening, Discovery, not just Burnham and the First Officer.
Well, I mean, I think that's, remember when we did the kind of episode for Nichelle when she sadly left us, and we were talking about all these episodes, and certainly the episode which I brought to the table, I remember her being all over the Mirror Universe one. She was from the kind of beginning to end. She is so prolific in that because she gives such a great performance. When you watch it back, she's got so little screen time, and that's the one I remember her most being in. So it just really goes to show you how underused she was, to your point.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we have learned more about Uhura as a person and as a character in Strange New Worlds Season 1 than we had done in any other version. And that's not a knock on Nichelle Nichols in any way, shape or form. It was an iconic performance, iconic character. But when you actually strip back the layers, we didn't know anything about Uhura's backstory, where she came from, anything. And we've got a lot more of that already and, partially that's the way TV's written now. It's different. It's more character focused. It's not a star driven thing like the original series was,
But I mean, I will add to that though, that even though I appreciate that about the show, for me, it seems like a weird choice. Like, I would not have had the first episode being so...
Yeah, it's definitely a weird choice. That's what I was going to say.
That, to me, I think that should have been later in the series.
Like, I think next episode is ought to be Pike going and getting number 1 back.
I think so,
what they've done is they split it up.
I think next week you're going to get what's happening at the same time as this week's episode, so...
Yeah,
I think so.
Style, but
and they could have done it as a 2-parter and flip back and forwards at what's happening. But it's quite nice to see one complete story of what these are doing and another complete story.
Yeah, it's just an interesting choice to leave out your main character in your first episode.
This is what I would change. If you're going to do that, which is fine, but it's like I probably would have led with Pike because it's like he is our hero of the piece.
Yeah,
let's face it. Even though it's an ensemble cast, more so than even the original series.
This is what Pike's doing now. Next week, let's go catch up with the crew, kind of like they did with Discovery Season 3, which we are allowed to talk about, so that was okay. And the first episode of that was Michael getting to the future, and then the second episode was the Discovery getting to the future, and then it was episode 3 before they reunited them. But it did focus on its main character, whether you like her or not. in the first episode and then the crew in the second episode. And yeah, it does seem an interesting choice to flip that with these episodes. But there you go.
There's also like people who are on our Retrek page, and they actually stole that meme from Starpod Wars. That one about all the criminally inclined officers get to serve on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
And I think this just shows that they don't need Pike there to be criminally inclined.
Oh, no.
I have got so many problems with that. I'll get to... Yeah, I did want to... You guys have said how much you enjoyed this episode. I must admit, to me, this was a best middling episode. I wasn't a fan. And it raised something which... Because the argument which always gets put my way whenever I say about this portrayal of Spock, which again, I'll just say it, Ethan Peck, great actor. The writing as the character they've written is fine, but how it stacks him with the rest of Spock's lineage doesn't fit me. Now, and I know the argument which Elliot usually presents, which other people have as well, which is, well, you look at the original pilot, you see Spock laughing, he is a different character then. But I've thought about this, and it's like, but you stack that against everything which happened afterwards, every flashback, every time they've spoken about his childhood, every time they've referenced it in the original series, in the animated series, every time they showed that he was shunned for being too emotional, whereas he tried to make himself as emotionless as possible to counteract that. This destroys, I would say, for the benefit of that one pilot episode, which they basically rewrote. Let's face it, I know it's canon, I know we see it in the menagerie, but at the end of the day, they decided to change the character and sort of back reference the fact that that was different. Okay, he laughed that day. Maybe he had bloody emotional sickness, like he had Vulcan measles, which makes you laugh. I don't know, but that makes more sense than to throw out all the rest of that canon they built on it than to say that one thing's sacrosanct and the rest.
I think that they're going through a story over the whole thing with part of Spock's story.
Yeah,
it's going to be how he becomes who we've seen from what we saw in the cage.
I know. I get that. I get
that is still struggling to get, because I know that we've seen this, but then there's things like he's had the Pong Fire and all that, and because he's not full, he's only half Vulcan. When his emotions do come out with the Pong Fire, he probably struggles a lot more than a normal Vulcan would to get his emotions back under control, because they just go, right, Punk Fire's over, back to normal. Where him, it takes ages and ages for him to come back to normal.
I understand all that, and I understand the kind of argument for it, but to me, it's just like it doesn't make any sense of any of the backstory they've ever told us of his childhood, anything that happened afterwards, because at the end of the day, if he is this emotional for these years of this series, then the fact that he went on all that journey for all the time we knew him from the beginning, from the cage, after the cage onward, shall we say? We're going to say that was just an anomaly, him laughing in that episode.
No, we're not.
If you take no. I am for my thesis. Listen a second, Elliot, and then
your head.
Once I finish, no, not my head. You've decided the cage matters more than every other backstory that we've had told about him. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying, why do we put this one episode, which they rewrote basically in the rest of the series, over the rest of the canon which they put in his place, in his past? They've had flashbacks in the original series, or the animated series, when you even see him going back and seeing his childhood self, where he's not like that. And I'm saying his arc in the original series, from the first time we see him being unemotional after the cage, to the last movie he was in, that's a real arc of him discovering his humanity. Now, if earlier on he already had it and just lost it and got it again, that takes away from that story for me.
No, it isn't discovering his humanity. It's getting control of his emotions.
Okay, getting control of his emotions by himself. No, but it's not. I'm saying in the original arc which he went on, he started off as unable to accept his human side. And by the last film, he was very accepting of it. He was even going, it's like, oh, I made a choice. He's even just doing a little wink to the fact that those emotions are going on. I love the way that they incorporated it. They made him the same kind of Spock, but they incorporated his emotions a bit more in the 2009 Star Treks. I loved all that, but I think this just goes right over to the emotion and then just chucks out all the rest of that. For me, it takes away a bit of the poetry of the journey we originally saw him going on over, 30, 40 years, 50 years almost before Leonard Nimoy passed away. So I've thought about it a little bit.
You have. I'm somewhere in the middle on this. I feel like they've got a plan and they're going somewhere with it, and I don't feel that the fact that he's gone through this process of dealing with his emotions before, I don't think that undermines any of the journey of doing it again, because it's coming at it from a different perspective. So what we're being presented with is a Spock who was very young, raised in the Vulcan way, and could keep a handle on everything, and then he's going through this sort of tumultuous phase in his life that we're seeing now, and presumably he will learn to overcome it and manage it, and maybe he goes a little bit too far with that, and that's where we find him in the original series. And then the story is, as you say, him gradually rediscovering how to integrate those two things. So for me, it doesn't.
I think the originals, what we have seen, is him finding the balance between.
It is.
This is him sort of. One is when his emotions come out, there's too much, or he's too Vulcan, and he hasn't got that balance. So he's coming.
I get it.
From getting that emotion under control, and then the journey we've seen previously is in finding the balance of the two.
I mean, I think also part of my problem is because now they're saying, because of what he went through, now his emotions are at the fore. But the first series, they had him at times being emotional when the original.
Yes, I noticed that.
But they're trying to claim that was all logical, and it wasn't. It was.
That felt like a little bit of backpedaling was going. Oh, it's because of the Gorn thing. That's why your emotions are so heightened. It's like, yeah, but he was showing them before that.
Yeah,
so.
I would actually give you, if in the first series of this, they'd had him being a straight edge Vulcan, and then they'd done this, that for me would have been much more satisfying. You've seen him being it's almost like they're relying on the fact that we know who Spock is from all the other versions, as opposed to introducing their Spock. They've gone, oh, well, he can be logical, so we can be illogical, and you'll get it. It's not. I don't think they're introducing the character.
You could argue that the stuff with the mind meld from the Red Angel and everything, and where we meet him in season 2 of Discovery, could have prompted anyway.
But even then, I thought he was over emotional.
Yes, you did.
I think they need to set him before they reset him.
Yeah, I get what you mean. But we'll keep an eye on Spock and we'll see how he does. Putting aside that, just on Ethan Peck's performance, I feel like he's really settled into it now. I didn't necessarily get Spock vibes from him, and I appreciate that's a very technical term I'm using there, and it's very precise and academic. Whereas now I do feel like I'm getting Spock vibes from him, so I feel like he's relaxed into the role a little bit, which I'm really enjoying. His
characterization, something which I said when we did the comparison episode, where it's got balance of terror and quality of mercy. Mm-hmm. I mean, you do see how he gives his own version, but it's not. Sorry, can you get off the screen when I'm talking? Don't let it appears in the middle of what I'm saying. It throws me. Shit. Sorry, yeah, because way Leonard Nimoy does it, it's very slow and methodical. Whereas Ethan Peck does it sort of in a monotone, but it's kind of speaking, but it's all in one monotone, so it all kind of removes the emotion from it. So it's a different way of doing the same thing. See, that current characterization I really love. That's why I want to make it really clear. It's not against anything against Ethan Peck's acting or even the writing per se. It's just the way to spot that for me.
Yeah.
He's great.
Elliot, put the message back on then.
Yeah, sorry. It's just when you do it in the middle of my sentence.
I'm guessing.
No, I know. It's when it appears on the screen. It distracts my attention.
It makes your eyes read it. I'm guessing that's from Emma. Saying hello from Glastonbury. Congratulations on 200 episodes. I'm assuming Glastonbury must start tomorrow because I know we're a bloody good podcast, but if you've got a live band on stage, you don't want to be watching us. So, we would let you off if you've got a gig.
Oi, Beyonce, shut up. They're trying to retrack here.
I don't care if it's your last performance, Elton.
Yeah, he's just sat on the stage just waiting for an hour. It's like, and continue. They're done now.
I think Elton listens to us. I reckon he's like, I'm not going to clash with Retrek, come on.
Well, it was due to start yesterday, but yeah, he moved it to Friday so that he
Starts Friday. I'll go on then. We'll let you off. Thank you for joining us. So the episode itself then, first of all, opening shot, nice, lots of spaceships, lots of flying round. I noticed there was what looks very much like a Kelvin class ship. Not totally like the Kelvin, but the configuration of the saucer, one nacelle below it, looks very much like the Kelvin as we see it in Star Trek 2009, but more in this style, which would make sense because chronologically this is later. So I like that. I like that it's just a little tip of the head.
Also, it's another timeline. I think.
Well, it's not the Kelvin. We see the Kelvin before Nero comes back, so the Kelvin exists as it did. The Star Trek 2009 starts in the Prime universe until the moment that Nero appears. So that ship exists in the Prime universe, but this one looks like an updated version of it. So I like that it's just a little tip of the hat to say those ships exist within this universe, but this is what they'd look like now.
I also felt like the whole all of the kind of special effects in this episode, it was sort of like they all looked a bit video game-ish, but within that, I thought they looked really great, if that makes sense. There was something uncanny valley. When they just doesn't look kind of tactile. Like, with models, you always get that tactile feel.
You do.
So you lost that, but after I got over that, the detail and everything was spectacular.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not dissing it, but it's just, it didn't quite feel as real as some of them. But the detail and just all the shit,
I think that's it.
The way they traveled between it was just great.
Yeah, it's the level of detail and the amount that they're showing on screen at any one time. Something's got to give at some point, unless you've got a Star Wars movie budget. Like even Star Wars TV can't do it,
No, there was a few moments when they managed to do it on the recent Next Generation sequel.
Yeah,
on Picard, when they.
I suspect they may have thrown a bit more money at that.
Yeah.
Just with it being the finale of Picard, but
allegedly.
But that's one of the only times I've seen it. Oh yeah, that was a bit of Trek news just to throw in quickly. Yeah, but Patrick Stewart said that he'd be up for a film. Like he's basically said it the most explicitly he has yet. He's kind of all of them hinted. It's like, if it was the right script, but he's out and out said it's like, I'd be really keen. Now after we've done that, I want to do.
I like how actors say if it was the right script, but what they mean is if it's the right check. Yeah, exactly.
Do you know
How
what?
many zeros are on this check?
I will give them. I honestly think those guys, after all their journey with the Next Generation crew, I think if they didn't think the script was good, I think they might turn.
I think.
I say that? But series 1 of Picard, so there we are.
I mean, that's the thing. But the thing is, it hinges on Patrick Stewart. If he doesn't want to do it, fine. But LeVar Burton would do it like a shot. I don't think it. Yeah.
Actually, LeVar is probably one of the ones he's needs it the least because he's got Reading Rainbow. His own podcast based on Reading Rainbow. He's got so much work and
maybe I picked the wrong one. I was trying to think of one of them who's not doing it.
Well, Brent Spiner always seems to want to come back.
Before season 3, I would have been cheering from the rooftops for a next gen movie at the end of season 3. But how season 3 ended, no. They absolutely nailed the ending of the story. And it's not that I wouldn't like to see more on TNG, but it was so perfect how it ended. Yep. Anything else had ruined that.
I agree. You can only do a perfect ending once, and once you've done that, you need to say no. We've got to walk away from it. Possible exception.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say
you give the gold standard, and I'll give the exception.
The gold standard is always Only Fools and Horses. They made the perfect ending in an episode called Time on Our Hands. It was perfect, start to finish. Everyone loved it. It was the ending they deserved. Then they made 3 more, which weren't like everyone makes the mistakes of saying those were bad episodes. They weren't. They were okay. They were
The
average,
third
at the
one's
end,
pretty
but they
bad.
weren't as good as the other ending. Like, if
Yeah.
you can't beat your other ending, fucking
Don't
leave it
do
be,
it.
because that was
Yeah.
perfect. And the other three were okay. They were okay episodes of Only Fools and Horses.
And it's so rare to land the perfect ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you.
Now,
What's the
I would
exception?
say the exception, and it's cheating a bit, but the British, I'm stressing this is the British version of Life on Mars had a perfect ending. And then they brought back some of the characters and the concept with Ashes to Ashes. And that also had a perfect ending, which managed to not undo the ending of Life on Mars.
Enough.
And I was like, I can't believe you managed to pull that off. And they did say they were going to do another series, which has now been cancelled. So it's one of them where I was like, yeah, it's been quietly cancelled. And that was one where I was like, really? I mean, if you can pull it off a third time, then good on you. But is it really worth the risk?
Well, no, I'd say the way they set it up, because if you see it on paper, basically, spoiler alert for a show which is 20 years old or whatever, but Ashes to Ashes ends on the concept that there's a bar where coppers go where they die as a kind of like afterlife midway point. Like, no, they go to the station
bar's
house, then
not
they go
the
to
midway
bar.
point.
Sorry,
the bar's when you go to heaven.
Yeah. So you go to the bar to go to heaven, you go to a station, and it's only for cops. That sounds like dog shit on paper. It's a brilliant episode. It's perfect. It's a perfect episode.
It's wonderful.
As you say, it makes sense of what happened to Sam Tyler's character in the original show. But it looks so crap on paper, which is what I love about it.
It's madness.
I think it's kind of one of those things where even if you fuck up the third one, it doesn't take anything away from the other two. Like, you're still sitting in the same world. You just say, "Oh, that one didn't work," but it's got such potential to do another one.
You should be able to say that with the Only Fools and Horses finale, but you can't. It just
I'd say that
taste.
undid the original ending by having them being broke again.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's undid as opposed to building.
But that's what I mean. If they messed it up with the third one and said, "Oh, actually, it's not that, it's this," that would undo it. Anyway, we should probably talk more about this episode of Star Trek. So, Spock's left in charge.
New titles.
Have we got new titles?
Yeah, the titles were slightly.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I thought it might have been a few new bits in it.
Yeah, new titles, but I didn't pull them apart, so I can't list it all. But yeah, there were new titles.
Right. So yeah, when we get a quiet week and there's nothing to talk about, we'll focus on the new titles a little bit more. I mean, we've talked a lot about Spock and his arc and everything, and they're still playing with this thing with Nurse Chapel, and his heart rate goes up when he sees her and everything. And again, it's another one of those where it's skirting so close to messing stuff up, but you've got to hope they've got a plan for it.
What a wanker he is in the original series there, after all they've gone through here, and he just fucking blanks her most of the time.
Well, that's it. So it makes, maybe he's heartbroken together with Roger Corby, and that's why.
Yeah,
well,
but at least explain to me, for all those people who don't think it does anything to the timeline, how he's not a massive wanker for everything he does to her in the original series if they've had this relationship first.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty hard to defend.
It is, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
And then they get a message from Lan, and this is where Spock decides to steal the Enterprise, which gives us shades of Star Trek 3. And it also leads to us meeting the new engineer. Is it Pelia? Pelia. She seems an interesting character. I mean,
I think she's going to be a really interesting character by things that the little bits that they throw out about the species.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of very quickly, just when you said about like him stealing the Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
So in the original series, when he does that, they should have just gone again.
Yeah.
Anyway, because they act as if it was out of character, but obviously he just does this every other week. Anyway, but we'll ignore that. Carol Kane, though, she's one. Yeah, so you've got Scrooge, you've got. I'm going to forget everything else she was in, but she's been in so many wonderful. She's one of these actors who sort of pops up every now and again, but
always she the Penguin's mum in Gotham.
She is, yes. That was a more recent one. I was trying to think of some of the classic ones because she was in a lot of stuff in the 80s. kind of, but even then it was kind of usually guest star roles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
She's one of those wonderful
She's a ghost
character
of
actors.
Christmas present in Scrooge.
Yes,
Oh,
and
she's
she's
waxing with a tip in
She's
the
fantastic.
brilliant.
Yeah,
Just beating him up. It's hilarious.
yeah.
Like, what a wonderful character choice, or writing choice to have like these ghosts who usually the one she's playing is kind of quite helpful, and but she's like, no, toast to the face, kick him in.
Yeah.
Balls,
What's
throwing
this,
fairy
Frank?
dust to
It's
blind
a
him.
toaster. Yeah, that's a good bit.
Yeah.
So things we find out, she's described as a lanthanite, which I checked. That's new. I was wondering if that was a callback to something, but
No.
it's a new species, is it not?
No, not the Lanthanite. Sorry, just thought one that you would get, Jim, because I remember when I originally mentioned him, you didn't recognize his name. She was also, I've just thought, Billy Crystal's wife in Willow, I think it was. I think she was the wife of,
Billy Crystal in Willow.
Yeah, wasn't he one? Am I thinking? Or was that one the other? Oh,
No, I don't think Billy Crystal's not in Willow.
Don't know.
Are you thinking of what's Billy Crystal in Princess Bride?
It might be that. I may have got my classic 80s movies.
Classic 80s fantasies mixed. It's easily done. It's easily
It is,
done.
it is. Sorry, anyway, I thought you'd appreciate that.
Yeah, she's
No.
life for night, which
Yeah.
are massively long-lived because she talks about she hasn't been up on a space mission for 100 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that she's
Jesus
100
Christ.
years old, but I haven't been up on a mission for 100 years.
And we find out that they've lived on Earth but hidden until sometime in the 22nd century.
Yeah, my guessing for the people we know who might be alive tonight,
Now go on.
and I think odds on could be Ian.
Really? Are you
Yeah.
Are you a
Just the way-
lanthanite?
Yeah, just
Me?
the way he keeps disguising his face with a dragon mask, so we
What do you
don't notice things.
Keep on disguising my dragon face with my human mask.
Exactly. Come on.
It's a
Well,
trick to the
then-
light that looks like
So
I'm wearing
is
my
the-
dragon suit. I'm actually peeling my human suit over it. It just
So did you out yourself as a dragon to cover up the fact that you're a lanthanite?
I can neither possibly confirm or deny that. But I've also, first of all, you're right about the
You
Princess
can't
Bride,
confirm
but
that for another 200 years.
I don't know if you can see that, but another reason why you should worship Carol Kane's work, Jim, is she was also in Vin Diesel's The Pacifier.
Oh, of course
Oh.
she was. Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying? Yes,
Yeah,
sure.
well, I was going to say, we need to stop pushing that because we could ruin the space-time continuum if they don't declare themselves until the 22nd century.
Yeah.
But
100 years, you can tell us.
the other
It's between us and
fun,
the viewers, yeah.
the other fun little nugget there is that she knew Spock's mother, and she says she was one of the first people that she outed herself to, which the timeline doesn't quite, because if they
No, but
unveiled themselves
no.
officially in the 22nd century, why was she still a closeted lanthanite when she met Spock's mother, which would have been in the 23rd century?
well, as a species, they remained hidden until the 22nd century. So
Right.
they all haven't necessarily come out in the 22nd century.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but so I wonder, were they
like-
outed as a species? But some of them went, we're still not going to tell them. We're going to go.
Yeah,
live
maybe
on
it's
the
that
planet."
fear of how people react.
Well,
Yeah.
we saw in Enterprise, didn't we, that there was sort of like the sort of anti-alien thing that went on, which was showing their
True.
version of fascism and racism. And it makes you wonder if there was some of that. That came about when they first outed
Yeah.
themselves. What? You're an alien species that lived among us for hundreds, if not thousands, possibly of years.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean,
And then you have some of them don't come out till later.
Yeah, and why didn't you use your technology to, I don't know, help us during the eugenics wars and stuff? That might have come in
The
handy.
eugenics wars was actually underground, wasn't it?
It was
wasn't
very
out in the open.
secret.
So they might not have actually been aware of it. 'Cause
True,
it was that
true.
secret.
even
Yeah.
though it caused
Human
World War
thing.
III in 1996, I think it is.
Yeah, no, not anymore. That's been revised.
Yeah, I
it
know.
was.
Because
Yeah.
it's only me space travel stuff.
Time around with space travel thing.
It's got
The
some different things
the
that do.
records during that time were not very clear.
We
So,
don't store data or have newspapers
no,
or
absolutely we don't.
any recording media at the moment.
Yeah,
Fake
I mean, so
news.
it's just all the articles from this time where people predict World War III so much they assumed it must have happened.
Yeah, that's
All the
it, exactly.
Yeah.
hyperbole in our media. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly the way they presented it, though. It did sound like they were telling us about a species we already knew about. It's like you, I was like,
Yeah.
we heard of Lanthanite? Is that something from the animated
Well-
series, maybe? You know?
Well,
I was
I
the
think,
same, yeah.
well, I think it was played very cleverly that it's a new species that have been on Earth, but we've got to assume at this point hundreds, if not thousands, of years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And at this point in the timeline, people do know who they are, or Uhura does, because Uhura's amazing at languages. So she gets the dialect.
She gets the accent, yeah.
The accent is how she guesses it.
Can I also just throw in as well, just because I know I've been negative about the kind of portrayal of Spock, but something I do love, which I think makes it much more interesting, where we have had Savick done so much and explored so much. Amanda Grayson, like, she pops up here and there and has some really interesting moments, especially in the films. But it's really nice to have a storyline where it's constrained Spock's mum, where they are going for his more human side. It seems to be brought out at the moment. They go to his human half. I think that's really smart.
And also,
really like that.
we've got Cybok potentially making an appearance at some
Or
point.
if we don't, I'll be mad after last series.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff we can explore there. Then, okay, I'm putting this out there again. We've said this before. I hope we don't have to say it again. I am done with jokes about what's your catchphrase going to be when you tell us to go to warp.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't a thing. Picard had his engage, but that was it. No one else had a thing. And all the shows make jokes about, oh, everybody's got a different thing. No, they hadn't. That's something you've just made up so you can make a joke about it. And it's not a funny joke.
But Spock just looks at it and goes, as if, what are you on about? And I like his answer to it. I would like the ship to go now.
And Spock's answer's fine and it's in character, but it's like, can we please stop doing this joke now?
Thank you.
His point is, I have given an order, walk 5 to so-and-so, and they turn around and they start doing this, and they're on an emergency mission.
Yeah, we're stealing this ship.
On a ship they've just stolen, and they just start having this stupid conversation. What's your thing? And he just goes, and he is perfectly right. Even if this isn't his thing, I want the ship to go now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's like, I don't even mind if they've decided that all captains now will have their own engage line. Fine, I don't even mind that, but don't have the conversation every fucking time. Just let a thing be a thing without having a meta conversation about it.
Yeah, we've all done it. I think every show has now done this joke. So you've all had your one joke about it. We're done.
Yeah.
And I also do like the fact that I think they balance the line quite well, usually in Strange New Worlds, of having a bit of a proper kind of command structure. So, like in Discovery, it does annoy me when I'm sorry to rack on Discovery. I'm sorry. It's just it's the first one which came to mind, but. It seems like they are so unprofessional with the captain thrown on the bridge. They're talking like they're mates. People say whatever the fuck they want to the captain, no matter what the situation. You couldn't run a ship like that. I'm sorry, you just couldn't. And Strange New Worlds pretty much does it usually pretty well. But to moments like this, it's like, fuck off. You've been asked to get the ship going in an emergency situation, and you're basically sassing the captain. Fuck off and do your job. I'm sorry. It's just annoying. It makes the character look stupid because you know better than to do that on the bridge. Even though I know she's a bit of a rebellious character, and that's why Pike likes her. But she knows when Pike gives a command, she's got to do it.
And also, in their defense, we're not in a formal situation here because we are stealing the ship and doing naughty things.
Well, there is that, but even more reason to keep the chain of command.
True.
In your own ship.
That's right. This isn't the time to be having that conversation.
True.
To just do it. And once you're underway at war, then they could turn around and go, look, Spock, next time you do that, you've got to have a thing.
Or just fuck off with that whole bit of dialogue.
Yeah. No, but if they want to put it in, just do it then, and then they turn around to him and go, look, next time you've got to do it properly.
And again, fuck off, I'm your first officer or your captain in this situation. Do your fucking job.
Yeah, and Spock can go, no, that's silly. and then we can move on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Can I just rewind a little bit
yeah.
to when they're doing the maintenance thing, and you've got like people from Starfleet engineering and all that, and they're going around bridge, and one of them comes up to Ortegas's console and all that, and they're there. You flip these controls. You've done this, and she goes, "Yeah, I prefer them this way because I don't like getting shot. I can control it quicker." And it's like, I have no problem with that. You're the user. And
Yeah.
you get that nowadays on things. What's your user setting that you're comfortable with?
If anything, a good engineer goes like, "Oh, brilliant, that's an improvement. We'll set that as the default now.
Yeah.
We'll have the other one as an option in case people are used to it." But
Yeah.
that makes a lot more sense.
But then I thought the Huru one was wrong because she just went, "I'm monitoring things and all that." And it's like, no, you haven't really got an excuse for what you're doing. That you won't.
I think that's a possible love interest for Uhura there.
Oh, I assumed she was just following procedure properly. Like he was actually, "I'll take a minute. It doesn't matter if your comms are down." She's like, "No, comms are really important," as it shows later in the episode. The other thing about the guys inspecting the ship as well, you've got the new helmswoman as well, who's there in place of Lan. I really like to your point about really developing characters straight from the get-go. You've already got her doing facial reactions even when she hasn't got lines, and she gets a decent amount to do, so you get to know her. And I don't know if she's even staying around. And we still
I don't, but I feel like I know her better than I know Bryson Reese from Discovery.
Who are they?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the plot kicking in. Then we get this message from Lan. We go to the planet. The Klingons are planning on restarting a war. So it's quite a good concept about, well, there's this dilithium planet and the prices shot up during the war and now they've gone back down again. So let's start a war again so we can sell the dilithium for more. You know.
You can't see any sort. I can't actually grasp where they've got this idea.
Yeah, indeed.
Trying to profiteer in the middle of a war.
Yeah, from energy.
Yeah,
heaven forbid.
Like, I know our oil companies have been absolutely amazing during the energy crisis. How they controlled themselves.
No.
They've not made a penny. They've been running on losses.
Elliot. It's even stupider than that. It's even stupider than that. No. The energy companies actually said, "No, tax us more, take more money off us," and still the fucking government wouldn't. It's even dumber than this. It's dumb greed. It's like
it's true.
But I just want to address the Klingons. For me, I feel like they've gone right. No one like Discovery Klingons. We'll go back to the original ones, but we'll try and still put our stamp on it because we've got to change it to our own thing somehow. They should have just gone for the fucking original look because, like, the ridges are nice. But it's like they're almost softened. Like it looks kind of cheap, the prosthetics, if I'm honest.
I thought it looked more natural.
I didn't mind the blending going into the back of the head, but it's like the ridges they've smoothed as opposed to
I just think
every Klingon's different. I think
these were definitely recognisable straight away as Klingons.
Exactly.
Came on screen. These were Klingons. I did not need it explained to me who these fucking weird aliens with no hair and fucking
purple,
huge, that were purple and huge bloody heads going out the back.
Oh, I totally agree. I agree with all that. But it's like, it's also the uniforms. It's like, it was weirdly, gold looks really weird with Klingons to me. Now, to me, like the metal, that's warrior, that's practical, that's
Klingons
physical,
always wore gold.
Yeah, it's the original series.
Top. It looks weird to have the armor in gold because then it's saying that it's gold metal, which is only for it's like the Klingons had a word with Trump or something.
Yeah, it did.
Worf had a gold sash in season 1 of TNG when he wore red.
It was gold and silver. It had a mix of the two, but it didn't seem like
have always worn gold.
Yeah, I feel like
not trying to retcon things that you don't want. Recognized species how they should be.
Let me.
I
be
think
very
this
No
is
one
what-
you like for trying to retcon things.
No.
I feel like
No,
what
you
they're
just
trying
tried
to
to
do
chuck out the whole
here.
canon. I know, but that's fine. It's
I feel like what they're trying to do here is what they did with the Enterprise when they redesigned it for Discovery. I feel like what they've done is said that was the look that they had in the 60s. What would that look like now if we had a budget?
Yeah.
So I think in our head, we're meant to look at these Klingons and go, they're wearing the same outfits that the TOS Klingons were
I still
wearing.
feel
It's
that,
just
but, like, I
we
wish if they were
couldn't
doing
show them.
yeah.
I wish if they were doing that, they made it more an updated version of that uniform. So keep that uniform, keep the kind of mesh look they had, but maybe look that a bit, make that look a little bit tough. But it's like they've taken the two and tried to put them together.
Maybe.
And that for me
I
felt like a
was
fail.
okay with it, to be honest. Again, maybe it's because we're still in shock from the Discovery Klingons. that
Yeah,
we're
oh, it's
just so
definitely an
happy,
improvement. It's an improvement.
to get regular Klingons again.
Yeah,
Now-
Klingons.
Is M'Benga becoming the O'Brien of Strange New Worlds? And by this I mean, we used to get them Torture O'Brien episodes every year. And are we going to get the weird mystery surrounding M'Benga storyline every year? Because last year we had the thing about his daughter, that was all resolved. And now we've got this thing that suddenly he's got this dark past with the Klingons.
Which they
and
chose not
then-
to mention once during the first series.
Yeah, and then they've got this drug that makes them into superheroes, and it's like, okay, we're doing something here, but
That drug would have been
That's
useful.
That's because they've got 23rd century medical tech, just like me.
oh, there we are.
I'm just saying, how useful would that super serum have been in every other episode with the Klingons are superiorly strong?
Well, maybe they only got it in between seasons. Maybe they bought it off someone at Starbase One. Somebody's
Yeah.
like, "Do you want some of this?"
And they said it's from a dead
Like-
species. You will never see this shit again. You got one dose. Please use it sparingly. First Klingons they see, gulp.
But no, well, it's implied. Well, it isn't implied. It's outright stated that they have done this before.
Yeah.
And I'm getting an impression that maybe they were like a secret Black Ops team for Section 31 or something.
Oh, that'd be cool. I could.
And it was M'Benga and Chapel. So again, benefit of the doubt. Let's see where it goes. But
Now,
I
just
kind
wanna
of don't
say-
want M'Benga mystery of the season every year.
I
You know,
just wanna-
let's have someone else with a mystery.
I just want to say now, this whole story arc with Rebecca and Christine in this episode, what they go through, should have been done with two different characters that we don't know that are legacy characters because it took all the jeopardy out of it.
True. Yeah.
Good point, good point.
And this is something, and I really enjoy Strange New Worlds, but this is always a problem if you're going to do prequels.
Yeah.
You
absolutely.
cannot show me a legacy character that I have seen in the future in any sort of danger. When
That's
they
why
might die,
2009 was really good for that.
because
Yeah.
I know they will be okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You and this really does have jeopardy for them. If there were two other characters, I might be thinking, especially if you had maybe the new lass from the comms that we haven't seen before.
Yeah,
If she
true.
was in Chapel's place,
Yeah.
I'd be going, oh, is she new and we're going to lose her straight away.
Unless
But
you
here I know
do a
these two are going to be perfectly okay.
Unless you do what Smallville did with Jimmy Olsen and go, oh yeah, this is Nurse Chapel. Oh, she's been killed. Oh, this is Nurse Chapel's sister, who's now going to call herself Christine as well, out of respect for her dead twin. And, you know, you could pull something like that. That
Which show was
if I
that?
Yeah,
did-
look,
That was in Smallville. There was Jimmy Olsen.
yeah.
And then they killed him to
Oh.
shock people. And then they went, this is Jimmy Olsen's brother. We're going to call him Jimmy now.
And he's also
Jesus,
called
I
Jimmy.
never saw it all the way through that show.
It is
God.
Jimmy Olsen gets killed, and then a couple of months later, you get, oh, here's Jimmy Olsen's twin brother that has never been mentioned before. That is also called Jimmy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty
So we could do that with a legacy character, but let's not. The ship that's been built then, now this is identified as a Crossfield class, which was the class of Discovery. And obviously it looks very, very different. So my take on this is Discovery was a prototype. For various reasons, they've decided not to go with that exact design. And this is what they've decided is fit to actually go in the field, because it's got a similar saucer with the ring.
Yeah.
Presumably it hasn't got a spore drive, but like the positioning of the nacelles is totally different.
Is it maybe that because we know the Discovery has been, made a restricted file, classified, all the information about it's been destroyed? Do you think maybe they changed the design so they could deny the original design?
Maybe.
This was always the design.
Yeah, that they've done a new design and called it the Crossfield, so that this is what the Crossfield class looks like.
Yeah, because they've got all this data on the Crossfield class.
Yeah, this is what it's always looked like.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if that's something they're going to bring up later.
Yeah,
maybe, yeah.
But look into my eyes, just my eyes. This is the Crossfield class.
Yeah.
You ignore all the canon you know about Spock. Oh no, sorry. Pardon me.
Then we just really get lots of excitement and space shenanigans and all sorts going off, and it's a big explodey fun action scenes and everything at the end of the episode, which is great to watch on screen, but not so great to talk about on podcasts because there's not a lot to say. It's just great fun.
Like
Spidey. Yeah.
Like we get some nice character stuff with Lan.
Yes,
on the planet, because we see that she can outdrink Klingons.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's maybe a genetic upbringing there, kicking in there a little
bit. Oh,
bit.
yeah. She's drawing on a bit of the old Noonien Sun DNA.
And she does a Princess Leia bit. I've got an antimatter charge, or whatever she calls it.
I think that is what she says.
Yeah, but there's no such thing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, the classic thermal detonator.
I did like a sass talk as well. It's like, I know you're trying to hide this point in your beard this time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she was giving him a bit of grief.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
That's what I think. She could drink with Klingons.
The only thing that I thought was a little bit of like something and nothing was at the end of the last series, she went off on this great mission to find this girl. And this episode, found her. Bye. It's sort of like it felt like something they were going to do more with, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe when they had like the writers' room meetings, they were like, you know what, we actually want Lan back in the mix. We don't want to spend 3 episodes.
I was about to say what you probably had is they've gone, she's gone off to find this girl's parents and reunite her and all that. But then they've had 10 episodes are coming in, there's 10 great stories and the old picture Lan. And then there's the 3 episodes where she wasn't in it and all that. And they went, you know what? These 3 episodes where she's not in it aren't too great. Let's bring her back early.
Well, yeah, or I'm wondering if it was maybe like this 2-part strip in the series where we see Spock and the rest of the crew's version and what we assume is Pike's version next week. I wonder if originally there was either a 3rd episode or a part of Pike's episode where it was like Lan's year. You know, maybe they filled
that. Maybe. And we may still get that. We don't know.
Maybe they had too many.
That next week.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they had too many things to fit in a 10 episode.
Yeah, possibly.
The last series, they were going, we'll put that in. Then when they came to write, they were like, actually, that's a lot of real estate to burn 3 episodes on one timeline and not have all our crew together.
When you've only got 10 to play with as well. But I will guarantee you, if we don't get a Lan's Year episode, there will be a book of Lan's Year that will be released.
Yeah.
Fairly quickly.
Get to work, my friend.
If Una McCormack writes it, I'd be happy with it.
Yeah.
But
if most of the other writers wrote it, not so much.
I want to say this with Lan, though. What we get about in this episode, this comes back to what I was saying at the beginning, where this is all, where it hasn't got Pike, that's just a crew. But this is developing the characters that we're getting to know them so well. Like, I'm not being funny. We've had 4 seasons Discovery. Rice and Bryce, I'm not sure which is which, but I know one of them went to climb a mountain.
Yeah, that's about... That's about accurate. Yeah, I agree.
So I really like this developing characters.
I
and seeing
do.
other characters.
Yeah.
And Spock gets to have a drink with the Klingons as well at the end. Which
Do they have to have 5 minutes of going yar yar? I mean,
no, they definitely do. So they want to put that in the trailer to make you go, "Oh, I wonder why Spock's drinking with the Klingons."
Yeah.
What I'm actually really happy about with this episode is the majority of stuff we saw in the trailer is from this episode. So most of the rest of the season is going to be brand new stuff that we've not even had a hint at. So I'm really
that
happy
was
about
nicely
that.
done. Yeah.
And I want to say, I have no idea what tomorrow's episode is. I've avoided every single spoiler. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's on the Retrek page, because no one has put a single spoiler about this episode or any of the other episodes. That
Do you know? There's 2 reasons for that. That's one, we've got the best goddamn listeners in the universe. Secondly, we never pandered to them, which I think is really important. Someone else congratulates us on 200 episodes.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Facebook user, but I can't see who you are.
Our biggest fans are the Facebook users. So Spock and Thick. Now, what I do like about the end of this episode, because all the way through I'm thinking, okay, but you can't just steal a ship and get away with it. And I like that they've actually thought about that, because you have Admiral April going, "Yep, Spock, I'll let you off. Your hangover's your punishment." But then we get that extra scene where it's like, well, actually, it's because he's done us a favour without realising he has. So
there is a war on second front too.
Yeah, there is justification from the Admiralty for why they're being lenient with him.
I have a bit of a problem here why he's got the hangover. Because previously we've been told of Vulcan Constitution, of how they can drink and all that, and it doesn't bother them.
Yeah, but Klingon blood wines...
Is it because he's had to drink that much blood wine?
Yeah, blood wine's a different beast. It's not...
I've got to say, though,
it's not the same.
I just... And this is just a personal thing. This isn't about canon or anything else, but I don't want Spock phoning in the Admiral hungover. That just doesn't sit right with me. It just doesn't sit right. There's no other justification. I'm not like arguing against canon.
And telling the Admiral that he's hungover as well, that's not logical to admit to your boss that you've got a hangover.
Yeah.
But it's also, when he's asked what's up with you, it's very Vulcan not to lie.
True. Yeah.
And I do like they're playing the Vulcan Never Lies card, which we all know isn't completely true.
We do know that, yeah.
So I think they're going to drop that shoe on this as well. Yeah. They mentioned like 3 times this episode, so I was like, you're running up to something there.
Yeah, and I like that the Klingons are wise to it. They're like, well, I'm not interested in myths about you. So it's like everyone knows it's bullshit that you don't lie, you know?
That was so nice. Yeah, I did like that. The Klingons just totally called them on it.
Yeah.
Because, if you're going to do that again, don't do it. So, like in the original series, it was always believed it was only Kirk, I think, who questioned it and found out that there are situations under which they lie. So, if you're going to do that again, don't just do the same thing if everyone believes it. Have someone question it. Have a bit more.
You always had it in the original series when Spock got called out for it. He always went, and he always had an excuse.
Yeah,
for
I
it
exaggerated.
Exaggerated and. From a certain point of view.
It wasn't a lie, it was an omission.
Well, that was more the movies. That's what I liked. I loved it in the original series. He was genuinely like going, it's like, this is the reasons why that is. And it all makes logical sense. And if you like everything you said does make there's a logical argument. Whereas in the movies, because he was enjoying his human side a bit more and exploring it a bit more, he was out and out saying, he's like, I fucking lied, but I'm going to call it a myth.
Yeah, and claiming
it was a little wink. Yeah,
claiming to be related to Sherlock Holmes and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely.
No, I assume that was meant to be an ancestor.
I was wondering about that, actually.
I never thought it was meant to be a direct answer.
No, I think he's claiming to be descended from Sherlock Holmes.
No, but his mum's Amanda Greystone. And I wonder if he's trying to say that his mum is actually related to, what's his name who wrote them?
Arthur Conan Doyle.
Blank on his name.
Arthur Conan Doyle.
I'm wondering if he's trying to say that he's related that way.
No, I think he's just taking the piss. I think he's dropping this literary reference, and he knows that none of them are well read enough to get it. So he's just like, and he's going back and telling people, like, yeah, and then I said my ancestor was short.
Is that a bit like the one that always got me when with literary, and it's not from Nimoy. It was the Klingons in Star Trek 6. You need to hear Shakespeare in the original Klingon. It's like, what? How does that work?
I think it's the idea that they like shit. I bet they don't admit to the comedies. I bet they claim that Klingon Shakespeare only wrote the tragedies.
No, in the original Klingon, the comedies were fucking bloodthirsty.
That's what I mean. So I reckon it's a case of early Klingons, or when they first came into contact with humans, came across Shakespeare. And because it would have been dishonourable to claim a human wrote these great stories, a Klingons lied and said, "Oh yeah, I wrote these."
No, I've got it. It's a Lephanite. Shakespeare was a Lephanite, and he'd been on Klingon before coming to Earth.
Oh yeah,
and he has stolen them.
Or
That's
again,
it. He goes around to every planet and writes the complete works of Shakespeare, and then moves on to another planet.
He actually stole them from Klingon. He had the Klingon literature he liked, and he came to Earth and he translated it into English. Shakespeare was
I like it.
I'm just saying, I find this really funny because usually I'm the one, I think I can sometimes take things too literally and over-examine all these things in Star Trek 6. I think I almost watched a different movie. Like, I was just going, the original Klingon translation is what I assumed they meant. When you talk about, like, Arthur Conan Doyle, I assume he meant ancestor as to all humans, but you've seen a completely different movie to me, it turns out.
No, the Klingons are claiming that if you read the introduction to Hamlet, the Shakespeare version, which I do own a copy of, it does explain how Shakespeare was a Klingon and the humans claim that he was a human.
It was a Lephanite, and he's
but we don't know that yet.
Well, is that why in the first title page it says "To my darling Worf," as in because all of Worfs were called the same name, as we've discovered.
Yeah, well, the actual
my darling Worf. Puck deck in quotes. And
the actual author, he was called Shakespeare, apparently. There were more apostrophes in it than were necessary. I will take a picture of the page that explains it once I've dug out my...
Take a bow after that pun. Sir, you've earned it, that joke.
That wasn't a pun.
No, you're right. Sorry, that wonderful...
that's what the book's called. This is a real book that I own. I'm not making this up.
Oh, you've got the original Klingon.
I've got the original Klingon. Yeah. Anyway, but the reveal at the end then, and Dr. Squee needs to take a bow because he was convinced the Gorn would be the Klingons of Strange New Worlds, and it certainly appears that that's going to be the case.
Great choice. I mean, they were a great baddie in the episode we saw them. To be honest with you, I even forgot they had starships. That seemed like such a minor part of their character because it was mostly on the planet.
Yeah.
Whereas this, they've expanded that out. They've made them badass. The ships like twist through other ships, like very, very much Jemadar-esque of the kind of suicide runs.
It also makes a lot of sense from like episodes of Arena where we know that they were fighting the Gorn.
Oh yeah, they talk about how things went wrong with the Gorn, and so we've got Gorn to look forward to this episode, which I think is great. So
it's like even though Enterprise maybe was not, and I dare to say this, maybe not the best Star Trek ever. No, I know, guys. Sorry, don't fall off your seats, but just in my opinion, but they kind of took the Andorians and they like fleshed them out because they were
they did good
never
with
really explored. I like it when they do that. I think that's such a smart choice because, like you say, it's the same thing as with if you know about the characters and the legacy characters, if you know about the species and where the species is going, it kind of limits what you can do or how much you can shock us with what you do.
Yeah.
When you don't know really, like the Gorn.
Yeah, the Gorn. We've seen one of them once, so we can pretty much do whatever we want with the Gorn.
We've also seen one in Enterprise on it.
I'm ignoring that.
But please, with major jeopardy to characters, don't use legacy characters.
No.
Because I think that's why we just flashed over the Babinga and Christine thing. Because if that had been other characters that we didn't know, would have gone into the fighting and the jeopardy.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
the
it's
airlock.
all very well done and everything, and the mystery
It
is
is.
what is this drug? How did they get it? And I'm sure we're going to come back to that. But apart from wild speculation, I don't feel there's a lot we can do with that right now with what we've been given, and that's right. If it's going to be a thread throughout the season,
but that should have been like the big talking point of the episode of their jeopardy and how they really died, and would they or wouldn't they? But no, there wasn't, because I've seen them both in TOS.
True.
Well, and also to add something we've all said before, like Strange New Worlds is good enough. It doesn't need all these legacy characters. It doesn't need to lean on the
it
past.
doesn't.
It's strong enough in the present. Have some more fun with it. Like explore some new characters. You know, maybe even have some of these legacy. I don't know. I was almost going to say have some of these legacy characters maybe go off the ship and they come back later, but that's not fair on the actors. They're doing a wonderful job.
No, exactly.
Painting some wonderful characters. They're just not always consistent with who they are.
It's just not. I'm quite happy to. No, I am quite happy to watch Christine's story, the Binker's story, Uhura's story, but don't put as a big focal point of the episode the major jeopardy.
Yeah, and expect us to be invested in the jeopardy of it. Yeah,
I'm not invested in the jeopardy because, and I found out watching this episode, it's like, but I've watched Star Trek for so long, I'm not worried about anything happening to them. I know they're going to be okay. But if you do that with characters that I don't know, because if you'd done that with Lan, I wouldn't have a clue she survived. If she'd gone on there, she could have easily gone on there fighting and all that, and she wouldn't have needed the drug.
And we all know Hemner's proved that they are up for killing characters if if that's how they plot it. Yeah.
Well, I think we'll leave it there for this week. Then next week, well, we'll do his thing. Who do we think the focus will be on next week?
That's got to be Pike and
I've already said. I think next week is going to be Pike going off to get number one at the same time that Spock's.
I think that's a safe bet. If it's not, I think there'll be people who are annoyed.
Well,
and I think to flesh it out, we might get some of what Lan had been doing before this episode for the previous year.
Maybe.
It's interesting, but the thing is, if you're going off to, like, if you're not having it on the ship, then how do you frame that into it? So I don't think we are going to get that. I think that we might do somewhere along the line. But if it is the episode you think it is, I don't think it'll.
I think it's going to be Pike and number one.
Yeah, they might even abandon that storyline.
I think it might start with 10 months ago.
Ooh.
And we see Lan off doing something and all that. A bit of an adventure for 10, maybe 15 minutes at the start.
But then how do you link that to the other story?
Or maybe before we have sort of the first bit before the credits and all that, before the opening title sequence, we'll have a bit of Lan 10 months before. And then we'll move to Pike going.
I don't know how you do that without being really disjointed. Though. That feels really. If you're going to do that, it feels like it needed to be on this episode, which I think it originally was.
Personally, because I'm not a writer, I couldn't write that. But I have faith in the start that they could do that.
Maybe. Well, we'll find out next week anyway.
I think it needed to be in this episode. I think it was originally in this episode and then it got cut. Is my theory.
Well, I think that they're off to the Pike and going to get Una next episode.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I don't think that'll fill out 50 minutes.
Oh, so I think it will.
So I think the part to fill that in will be the Lan.
I think that would be hella disjointed, even for a skill writer. I don't see how you do that. But for me, I think the way you do it is, I think it's going to be Pike's going to arrive back on, is it Earth she's being held? Wherever she's being held. But she mentioned a lawyer, which she needed. So I think that's him getting the legal help. I would be so up for a nice courtroom drama. I think that's
I would as well. We haven't had one in a while.
Oh,
anyway,
good old Drumhead.
We'll be
or
back
Commissioner
next
Man,
week. If you want to get in touch with us in the meantime, we're at RetrekPod on Twitter. You can email us, retrekpod@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. Elliot's got the Retrek Model Studios YouTube channel. Are you still working on the Quack's Treasure?
I am, and I'm going to be honest, it's been really nice weather, and I've hardly touched my modelling bench. And
Well,
it's
that's
just
fine.
It's a winter. It's more a nasty weather that you don't want to
Yeah.
go out. I've been
And
out and about.
You've got plenty of videos on there, complete builds of various Star Trek ships, so you can go back and check them out as well as other models as well.
I know, and I think I'm going to go buy 2 more. So, my friend has just bought 2 more, a load of models at his shop that I want.
Oh, I saw that, yeah. And Dr. Squee, what have we got on the Dr. Squee show?
Well, next week, I talked earlier today. It was recorded during the day. So what I'm going to do is, this week, I went live with the show, both on video and audio. This one's pre-recorded on video, so it means I'm going to set up to do the same, basically. So it's going to, the video and the audio is going to start at roughly the same time. It's a shorter interview, so I'll be doing some more stuff on the radio. But yeah, so 7 o'clock, both on radio and on video, you can enjoy me speaking to, I'm going to get the lady's name right, is Elizabeth Morrison, who is a voice coach who worked on things like Cicel, Billy Elliot, the BBC News she's worked with, and the AA driving school chief instructor trainer, whose name I have lost, but and I'm forgetting. Anyway, we spoke about the fact that she is working with the AA at, as opposed to just working on technical skills of driving, they're working at making them better communicators. So she's working on voice coaching, communication skills, the way you speak to people, even performance, improving driving instruction. It's absolutely fascinating. Please do tune in. It may not be a big name, but it's a really fascinating story. Which I think
sounds it.
Yeah, I love doing some kind of those little interesting, quirky stories. And she's legit. She's worked on everything as a voice coach. So it's great. And Citadel, you can check out now on Amazon Prime, which she worked on.
Oh, Citadel, yeah, I've heard about that one.
I was thinking, I've
coach.
seen her name. I've
There
seen
we
her
go.
name. I recognise the name, but I can't tell you where.
And
It's probably come from credit somewhere.
Mark Bourne, who was the head of the driving instructor academy at the AA driving school. So just give him his credit as well.
Would you like to know what I know about cars for driving?
I think I already covered it.
They have 5 wheels and someone else sits behind one of them.
I think everything I've said in this episode, I've already covered everything I know about driving.
And I mean, I don't know a lot either. I know that mine's going to cost me. Oh, yes.
Kingy's Toy Box.
Kingy's Toy Box. We've got an unboxing of DC superheroes action figures. That's the latest one. I've actually got a Star Trek action figure Reddit video ready to go up on there. Captain Kirk from Wrath of Khan. So I will upload that soon. That'll do us for this week then. And thanks for trekking with us this time. We will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you, and see you for the next 200.
LLAP Dragon 200! Drag off!
Fascinating.
I just feel so bad. 200 episodes. They still haven't seen the awful dad dancing we do while that music's playing. It's brilliant.
True.